Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the series of Mehta and Mehta. Every Saturday, it's now become a practice of many professional colleagues to attend this webinar, and we appreciate the same. Honestly, today's I'm surprised with the participants' number. Like as usual, we think that as and when it is not any topic relevant to Companies Act, FEMA, LODR, less participants is there, but it's awareness among a professional colleague and to do venture out in different area. We can see the enthusiasm among our professional colleague to this new topic. And we are very proud and satisfied that a professional colleague are interested in this topic. We are doing this audit of factory compliance since years, and we wanted that. And when secretarial audit, we used it also, and we do specifically as a Mehta and Mehta do factory audit as such also as a specific assignment. And I really happy that all professional colleagues are also interested. And so, friends, you will be happy that now today in a webinar of CS professional, we have a hardcore engineer as a panelist. This is something unique, don't you think, Mr. Bala? It's something really proud for us that yes, we are into different field as well. And I congratulate all our colleagues and participants for that. Unfortunately, Mr. Rao is unable to join. He will join shortly.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Rao sir is there.
Oh, thanks a lot. Welcome, Mr. Rao. We are really proud to have you today. We are really happy that you joined today our webinar. It's really good. We would like to have your experience sharing among the participants. You can see, Mr. Rao, the enthusiasm among participants. All are either CA or CS, but they are there for this topic. So you can understand. So everyone is waiting that you share your experience along with the presentation. So friends, one more thing today, Mr. Sudhakar is not there. You may be thinking why, but he has his urgent meeting attendance. So he's expressed his inability and pass on the message of sorry to you. But our own Mr. Bala is there today. Let me formally introduce Mr. Rao. Thanks a lot, Mr. Rao, to be here. And I must say that we are lucky to have him here. Friends, Mr. Rao is graduate in Metallurgy Engineering from the Indian Institute of Metals, Kolkata. He is MBA with specialization in HRM and Marketing Management from Andhra University. His experience in RINL, Vizag Steel, that is Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, from 92-97, Quality Assurance and Technology Development Laboratory as a quality analyst. 1997 to 2009, Coke Ovens and Coal Chemicals Department as a shift in charge in metallurgical coke production units. 2009 to 2016, Internal Audit and SOC Verification Department as an internal auditor. 2016 onwards, Production Planning and Monitoring Department. And he is at present in charge of entire plant control. He is Deputy General Manager, PPM. He is also presently pursuing MSc Psychology from Andhra University. Welcome, Mr. Rao. Thanks a lot for your time. We really appreciate. But this something I am surprised, Mr. Rao, how come MSc in Psychology? Any specific?
Hello, madam. Madam,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yeah,
very much.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. And all the best for the presentation to Neha and Aditi.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was asking Mr. Rao that your engineering background, MBA.
Madam?
Yeah.
Madam, please come again, madam. Here we have network issues here. Audio is... it is getting paused, madam, infrequently. That's why I closed the audio. I am on audio, video. I am on audio only.
Okay. My sound is clear? now?
Yes, madam. Right now it is clear, madam.
Okay. What I was asking is that why you are basically engineer MBA and now in psychology MSc. How come? That is something.
Yes, madam. Actually, I joined in this Vizag steel plant in 92 with a diploma in metallurgy engineering background, madam. Later, I did my graduation and later I did my MBA and also I did my PGDCA from Pondicherry University and Hindi diploma from Central University. Continuously, I am pursuing my education. Education will make you develop gradually, where I can learn so many things. And psychology, of course, it's my favorite subject. Just as a passion and interest, I wanted to pursue MSc Psychology, and also I'm pursuing my PhD also, madam, in HR only.
Oh, oh, great.
Great, Umamaheswara. I must appreciate the continuous learning. What you are doing is very, very great.
Thank you,
And
sir.
Mr.
Thank you so much.
Because there is no end for learning. We learn till we
Yes,
reach the
sir.
graveyard. That is true.
As you know, our Mr. Bala is continuous. I say a person who has 3 lines of degrees. I just
Yes,
remember.
sir. Yes, madam. He is very versatile and with a very vast experience, madam. He is a guru, a real guru for all of us. We can have a lot many things to learn from him, madam.
Right. The guys is with us. Thanks a lot, Mr. Rao. With these light words, I'll just say that, friends, as I mentioned, this compliance audit of factory, I have not mentioned factory audit because there are many things in factory audit which we are not covering. So I have covered certain compliance and audit under factory. And Miss Neha will present it, who is regularly doing the same thing in our firm. I'll request Mr. Rao to say a few words on the topic and then Mr. Bala for 1 minute and then Neha, you can start the presentation. Mr. Rao, for your few words on the topic, please.
Yes, madam. Really, this is a wonderful topic, madam, which may cover a lot of points how to interacted with both of them during our plant visit in Visakhapatnam steel plant. They were here for quite a couple of months here only. This is a really gives a very good insight how to what is the industry as a whole and what are the points to be checked, what are the points to be audited, which will certainly help the organization as well as the society to whether these organizations are following that corporate social responsibility, whether this organization is working in line with the government ideology. All these things will be there, sir, madam. And this, of course, can be detailedly covered in that entire presentation. And however, we have our guru, Sir Bala sir is there. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Bala.
Good morning to all of you. First of all, I'm very, very thankful to the participants because I can see the number well about 235 for the topic, which is other than the Companies Act and corporate laws, which shows the interest of our own professional people who want to learn the things and altogether the different topics. I am very, very grateful. I appreciate your learning and understanding the things on the first hand. Second thing, when we talk about the factory, it has got a lot of intricacies because in my span of 40, 50 years time, I have actually was involved in opening of the factories, closing of the factories, restructuring, reorganization of the factories, which we have done in our organization where we were. We used to have during this license Raj, you can't open the factory, you can't expand here. This is, monopolistic place. The concentration is not permitted. All those cases were there. So we are tend to open factories at the places like Calcutta, Jamshedpur, Pondicherry, Jammu and Kashmir, Bombay, Pune, like that. We have almost about 5 manufacturing units at one point of time. Suddenly, 1994 saw privatization, globalization, everything which actually came. People who were able to have one factory at the central place, they were able to service at a much cheaper cost and the better way than the people who were having multiple locations. That is the time what we have actually got. In fact, one of the time when the Pondicherry and the Jammu factories were unit, I was instrumental in getting all the license requirements, setting up the things, all those things. And suddenly when this thing has happened, our company has decided the massive restructuring, 5 manufacturing units reduced to 1, they reduced to 2. But the thing is, it is not, they closed down 3. They have actually closed down 4. They have added 1 unit, the state-of-art unit. So there are a lot of intricacies which are actually involved, why people do, why people undertake the audit, these are all matter. Because one thing is there, when we talk about the factory compliance, it is not simply publishing the returns and making the payment, etc. Their government is very much concerned about the safety, health issues of the workmen who are working there. That is the fundamental thing which is there. Second thing is they are also interested in safeguarding their social responsibilities in terms of providing good working conditions, in terms of taking their health hazards, in taking of being a safety working, environmental, all those things which are involved in the factory. That is one of the. And many times when we talk about the takeover, acquisitions, etc., and other thing and all, people are all concerned whether this factory is capable and it is able to deliver what they want. That is another thing which is also looked into, especially at the time of the acquisition, merger, and etc., and other thing and all. Basically, what happens if you undertake the audit periodically on an independent assessment, one can assess the supply chain efficiency, one can assess what are the risks which are actually involved. Of course, compliance goes without saying, because Factory Act compliances, because if we talk about the Factory Act today, almost more than about 35 acts are involved actually.
Right.
Anyway, the new law is going to come. They are actually converting, they are actually substituting about over 30 laws and they're bringing about 4 codes actually, which is also going to be incorporating all the existing laws. As time comes, we'll see when the implementation, but that is still going to be much stricter than what is the current laws today. So compliance is one part. And the third thing is, cost optimization. Because there could be repetition, there could be elimination, there could be combination. All those things will actually come out during the audit process. And again, the structural changes, anything is required, that also will be actually thrown out. So there are many issues which are actually there in the factory audit. We used to take the factory audit independently because are we in compliance with the laws? Because what happens is whenever the factory is there need to be an occupier appointed for the factory who is totally responsible. The Supreme Court historical judgment was delivered somewhere in the year 1994. It is between the factory inspector. What has happened is they have actually brought out the concept of occupying an occupier of the factory who can only be a board member. That means a director has to be named as the occupier. If nobody is named as the occupier, the entire board will be taken as the occupiers and he will be responsible for everything. So he has to work through with his delegated authority, etc. and all things. Everything goes wrong, he is responsible. That is one thing. And again, we talk about the various units. Let us look into the chemical unit, food producing unit, pharmaceutical units. There are stringent quality measures out there. Because especially pollutions. Chemical factory can never be licensed within the radius of 5 kilometers where the water routes are situated. Near the river, the canal, near the lake, etc. and other thing and all. That is the condition of the licensing itself. So there are so many intricacies which are actually there. And in fact, many organizations, they go for ISO 9000 certification, ISO 26000 certification. They also go for occupational hazard and safety certification to safeguard the things. There are various people, they want to ensure things are in place so that, they have the standard operating procedure, they are complying with it. And again, when you are talking about the audit, what sort of the audit you want to take? Are you talking about the manufacturing audit itself? Are you talking about the ethical audit itself? Are you talking about the environmental? Are you talking food related? Are you talking sectoral audited? Are you taking any custom which is particular for a particular territory, geographical area, etc., and other thing and all. Much will depend upon what is the organization wants to do. There are different type of audits, which is also there. So with the light of this, I think today's session is going to be very, very enlightening session. And as Dipti mentioned to it, we have an expert panelist who are not a typical company secretary, who are actually working on site, at the field, at the manufacturing unit, concerned with the quality, concerned with the workmen, concerned with the plant, etc. He has got a lot of things. Yesterday, I have a very short time to interact with him. But I can understand he is really, really having a extreme practical knowledge on this. I expect that his sharing will be much useful to us. And with this, I think our session will be enlightened. I request Neha to proceed and start the presentation. Umamaheswara, I will request you as and when, kindly share your experiences, kindly give your views, kindly give us the guidance situation, etc. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much.
Sir, definitely, sir. Definitely, I will do, sir. Thank you very much.
And we will try to give question answer session sometime today. Otherwise, you put the questions in the chat, that will help us, because put in the chat box. If we don't get time, we started today late. So friends, as usual, thanks. And please, I will say that it's a very vast topic, which Mr. Bala has given you in a very brief the idea. Thanks for that. But we are trying to get overall view. It's not depth, but still overall view. It is lot to talk. Yeah, Neha, you can start, please.
I'll just share the screen.
You can.
Is screen visible?
Yeah, very much visible.
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Neha Desai. I'm representing Mehta and Mehta. And today we have come up with a very interesting topic as discussed earlier by Dipti ma'am, Bala sir, Umar sir, the compliance audit of factory. So let's have a tour of the compliances to be taken during the factory audit. What exactly is factory audit? So factory audit in it is an in-depth evaluation of the industry standards, regulatory requirements and contractual obligations. Factory audit is conducted in such a way to check whether the manufacturer, the factory meets all the rules and standards as set. It aims to ensure the consistent product quality, safe working environment and ethical practices being complied under the factory. Audit includes examining facilities, quality management system, highlighting commitment of quality and in a continual improvement in such factories. What is to be examined exactly during the factory audit? As Bala sir said, the licensing of the factory is very important part. So the license to be are to be checked perfectly, because according to the area, the license of the factory are issued. So the documentations with respect to license registrations to be verified. Under health provisions, the health checkups of the workers should be taken care of. Yes, sir.
No, nothing. Somebody's mic is on. Please be on mute, please, participants. Yeah.
Yeah. So under health provisions, the basic health care should be taken in the factory premises. The worker should be examined by us certified doctors. A proper health certificate should be allotted to the employees stating their health conditions, and it should be done on an interval basis, as the workers are working in a hazardous factory or which are associated with the chemicals. Next is safety provisions. Under safety provisions, basic safety gear should be provided to the workers working in the factory, like proper shoes, safety gloves, spectacles, safety measures like the workers are working at a height, then proper net service should be provided. Under welfare provisions, basic welfare provisions like shelters, restrooms, These are to be provided to the workers working in the factory. That depends upon the shelters where 150 and more workers are working, then the shelters and restrooms to be provided. Water centers to be provided where more than 150 workers are working. Cool drinking water, which is a facility to be provided during the summer seasons where more than 250 workers are working. Next is working hours. Working hours to be determined as per as mentioned under the Factories Act, and if overtime is being done, then the same should be accounted in the registers, and workers should be paid wages according to the overtime which they are working for. Employment of young person related ones, like if child labor under below 14 is not allowed, and if the worker at the age of 14 to 15 is working in the factory, his working hours should not exceed more than 4.5 hours a day. And basic health checkups of the young person should be done, because young people are more prone to any diseases, easily affected, as they might working in a chemical or any hazardous factory. Annual leave with wages for every worker for a period of working for more than 240 days or more during a calendar year should be provided. This annual leave will be paid with wages. Next is environmental related effluent treatment, like if the disposal of the waste from the factory should be first processed properly and then disposed of. This might affect the environment. The vicinity of the factory might get affected because of directly discharge of the effluents, and which get directly exposed to the outside environment, and which may affect. So these are some basic points to be examined during a factory audit.
When you are talking about the child labor, I think some of you might recall it. The Nike shoe, which was actually a very largest producer of the sports shoes and the wear, etc., and other thing and all. Between 1990, late 1990 and 2000, they were actually abused of extracting the labor sweatwear. They call it, it's not the sweatwear handle. That means, sweatwear scandal it was. 14 hours working in their outlets where the job was getting done. They were abused of the child labor, etc. They were taken for the task, and people refused to buy the Nike shoes. Ultimately, they were actually forced to conduct the audit. They have undertaken almost about 600 outlets where the shoes was getting manufactured early 2000. And then they appointed the Fair Association Committee, and they have brought up the fair labor practices. Ultimately, they have to give a assurance that no more child labor is employed, and they are reasonably taking care of the labor, etc., and other thing and all. It has taken a lot of time for the lost market they have regained. This is one of the live example when it's coming to the child labor, which some of you may be aware of it. Yeah, go ahead.
Importance of factory audit. Through factory audit, it helps to evaluate the capacity and the capability of the factory with respect to the manufacturing of the products, and even the capacity of the factory to where the workers are working. Sometimes the factories are overcrowded with the workers, which might affect the production of the factory, and even any mishap could occur in such a situation where the factory is working above its capacity. Second, audit helps the manufacturer to identify the strength in the targeted product lines for the manufacturing. Third, the audit helps to evaluate the quality of the product along with the quality management system being driven in the factory. So the quality management system is also to be verified, as there are scope to increase or to enhance the quality management system, which would definitely help the factory in future. Next is to have on an interval basis, factory audit would help the manufacturer to take any corrective actions as required, or a corrective measures or corrective action plans can be formed, so that if any non-compliance, any discrepancies being observed, so same can be rectified, or any corrective plans can be implemented, so that same is not being repeated again in the future. Next is the factory audit are conducted to develop a confidence among the suppliers stating that the compliances of the factory are in place, which gives a beneficial interest of which boosts the suppliers that to create a mutual beneficial partnership. I guess Uma sir wants to say something.
Neha, I got a query from Girijesh Gupta regarding health examination is compulsory for all workers or for only who are working in hazardous process. What happens here in our Vizag Steel? Just I wanted to give a small brief within 1 minute about our plant. Ours is a shore-based integrated steel plant. We procure raw materials like iron ore and coking coal, iron ore indigenous and coking coal, imported coking coal, and also fluxes. Some amount, 70% is indigenous and 30% imported. And we produce 7 million tons of liquid iron every year. And that liquid iron is going to be converted into liquid steel, and from there it is going to be production of blooms and billets and finished products like wire rods, angles, channels, and structurals. So for this Girijesh question, I am telling what is the practice happening in our plant is we have categorized into service units, less hazardous units, and major productive units and major hazardous units. So for the hazardous units, each and every employee, whether he will be a lowest class employee like field worker. Field worker is the lowest category of the employment here, permanent employment, and highest will be our ED works, Executive Director of Works. As Balu sir has told, the employer and the occupier of the plant, our Executive Director Works is the occupier of the plant. So up to his level, every year the health examination will be conducted very meticulously, and those reports are displayed, and again the corrective action is taken. And again, they will be advised from some medication, some course of, and it will be after 1 month again the follow-up will be there, and everything is recorded, and everything is very clear here. So hazardous area people, they were examined twice in every year, and the people and above 45 years, they are conducted. They will be conducted for eye examination. For every 6 months, and more than 50 years, every 4 months that eye examination will be conducted, especially the crane operators and the loco operators. Our steel movements will be done through internal wagons on rail tracks with locos. Those loco drivers will be checked for their eye visibility and everything. And even though the employees of corporate sector also will be conducted every 2 years, for every 2 years. The Ministerial Labor and Corporate Office, those employees will be examined and every 2 years. It is 100%. It is necessary. It is an occupational health hazards will be there. We have to assess those things. I hope Girish, this will be suitable. This will satisfy Girish's doubt.
In fact, to add to that, what we have formulated in our organization, we actually separated. One is a manufacturing unit because we are basically a chemical unit. So manufacturing unit and the offices. In the manufacturing unit, health checkup, complete health checkup is necessary for all those people compulsorily every year. That is one. And again, depending upon the age group, as he rightly put, particularly the eye checkup, etc., the people who are working in a hazardous nature, etc., and all these things periodically, once in 6 months or once in a quarter, etc., that has been decided depending upon the age group, between, say 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 and above, like that we are categorized there also. And again, within the offices also, the complete health checkup, again, age group points, it is actually done. This is what we have done across the company, everybody, top to bottom. It depends upon how you want to take care of it, etc. But ideally, it is required for everybody. That is the thing. Especially in the manufacturing. Umamaheswara, if I'm not mistaken, your unit might have been much mechanized nowadays with the digitalization, etc. Automated process.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
I have seen your unit. Your unit was known as Vizag Steel Plant long time back.
Sir, it is the most beautiful and the pollution, less pollution plants.
I know we were the raw material supplier to you. So I had come actually to your factory long time back because I was interested in watching the metal pouring activities those days.
Sir, one more thing I wanted to add here, sir. After post-COVID also, our health examination in industry is a mandatory for some people, sir. And if at all some employees are having any other problems which have increased after COVID, there again, that HOD of the department is insisting to conduct health checkups in a increased frequency, sir. So this is also happening here in our plant.
Very good. There's another question there, whether there's a restriction on the monthly 50 hours overtime for each worker. Of course.
Pardon, sir?
Whether there is a restriction on a monthly 50 hours overtime for each worker. That is excessive overtime.
No, sir. In our plant, there is no overtime, sir.
In fact, there are rules are there for overtime. But what happens in reality? In
reality, sir. Reality, there is no overtime, sir. There is no overtime here. If at all any job emergency is there, it is restricted to 12 hours, sir.
Yeah.
Maximum 12 hours any day.
Yeah. But in some places I have seen, yes, the overtime is subject to be within the limit. But in some places,
no, here
factory inspector used to visit. In somewhere overlapping of the overtime is there because it's in the interest of the workman, he used to close his eyes.
Sir, there is no such case in Vizag Steel, sir. No.
Okay.
Nothing is happening here, sir. It is very strictly and it's being maintained, sir. Because now we have introduced a shift changing monitoring system. If at all somebody want to change their shift, if a person is in the morning duty 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., if he cannot come, he cannot avail the leave, and if he wanted to change his shift with the other colleague, there also we have a system, sir. Within 1 hour, it has to be approved. Otherwise, his absent will not be, his attendance will not be given so easily, sir.
In addition to the Factories Act, what are the other acts which has to be considered for conducting the Factory Act? It is not only the Factory Act, it is also all the labor audit. I think she is going to discuss the various acts. It is coming in the presentation. Yeah. Go ahead, Neha.
Next, the eligibility for factory audit. All the manufacturing companies are required to conduct the factory audit, under which the secretarial audit also forms a part. As secretarial audit includes other applicable laws to be verified. So factory audit is also becomes a part of conducting for all the manufacturing companies. Next is any specific state laws. Factory audit is to be conducted, like if the factory is situated near the coastal areas or in villages which are very prone to near the villagers. So there is a recommendation that the factory audit is conducted on an interval basis, so which gives the assurance that the factory is not polluting or giving any hazardous things near its vicinity. And third is the voluntarily. Some manufacturers conduct the factory audit voluntarily, just to be sure, just to get the assurance whether all the compliances under the factory are complied. And if so, and any discrepancies being observed, so they have the time so that they can rectify those non-compliances, and then the factory can be very compliant factory, which even develops to have a brand image in the market. Next is a requirement and a specific project. If the party wants to enter into a project with a company, so on the demand of the party, factory audits are also conducted, because the opposite party wants to make assured that the association with such factory they are going to have is a compliant factory, And such kind of audits with a positive reports creates a image with in front of the second party that the factory is compliant, and such helps to enter into a project, and such relations can last for longer period. Next is common types of factory audit. One of it is manufacturing audit. It is applicable to the factories manufacturing the products. Manufacturing audit helps to evaluate the competence of factory management. It identifies actual potential, quality, the operational units, and any risk associated under the manufacturing units of the factory. Second would be ethical audit. It helps to ensure social accountability is whether being reviewed or not. Ethical audits will increase the pressure to provide healthy, safe, and ethical work environment. Make environment with the laborers pay under their pay practice. It will help to build even a cooperative relation with the suppliers and within the workers. So ethical audits basically develops internal check with the workers, like all the practices are being conducted in an ethical manner. Third is structural audits. Structural audits are designed in a such a way to analyze the integrity and safety of buildings, premises under the factory. It includes basic structural integrity and safety measures, relevant code and conditions with respect to the buildings, the premises are being complied. The structure in which workers are working should be in a good condition so that any mishap should not occur during the working of the workers in the factory. Next is environmental audit. Environmental audit helps to evaluate compliance with local laws and regulations with respect to the environmental protection acts. Environmental audit leads to improvement of environmental performance near the vicinity of the area of the factory. Under SEBI, under BRSR, Basic Responsibility and Sustainability Report, it is compulsory for 1,000 listed companies, under which the confirmation with respect to environmental social governance is to be provided. So without environmental audits, such confirmation cannot be given or should not be provided basically in the BRSR report. So out of this, under the SEBI now, conducting environmental audits on an interval basis, I guess would have become very important and mandatory thing for the factories. Next is the customs.
If you are talking about the environmental audit, it is basically, non-pollution. Because there is one of the very popular, famous case law, you may be aware, very early days, the Ganga case, Ganga pollution case, or otherwise, the Kanpur tannery case. The leather manufacturing unit, they started polluting the river Ganga. And it has become a very big issue. It was on Mehta who actually contested. Dipti, you remember? Union of India versus Mehta.
Right.
That was a popular case. Here, what happened when we are talking about the chemical factories, hazardous chemical factories, etc., if they use various water for their plant, if the chemically contaminated water, if it is get discharged on the earth, the contaminated water travels down nearby villages, where the village people uses the drinking water from the well at a nearby river and lake, etc., where the water get contaminated, they are actually open for the health diseases. It is not only for the man, it is for all the animals, birds who are actually depending upon the water. So there are very strict laws. Unless until you have put up your effluent treatment, water is actually treated, and the treated water can only be reused for your plant, or it can be used only for the purpose of gardening of the water, etc. It cannot be used for the drinking purposes, etc. and other things. These are all there. So that is where the environmental things are actually very much essential. Any chemical-based company or any process-based company, etc., they cannot put up the plant without having a effluent treatment plant is in place, that too also in functioning. Every quarterly, it should be audited, and levels are checked, it is functioning. That confirmation is also called for by the government. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the same way, oil and gas industry also. Each industry that is when you extract oil, it comes out with the water and gas. So even that water, you have to reduce to particular level. That chemical content should be removed after certain process. Still, it has certain content. So then also that water, after reachable at the place after treatment, that which can be exposed, then it is in the government approved van, goes to the approved plant, and then again it is treated by the government. So it has its own. Even the gas, the another output, that is also to be treated, and then if it is utilized, nowadays it is in utilized in CNG and many other gas product, and if not utilized, you have to burn it out. So you see the gas, that flame in all gas plant. And same way, everywhere you have to be very careful as regards environment, treatment of the water or the air you take out from the factory. It should be free. Like for cement factory, you need a coal. That coal should not be open in air because it has certain particles which mix in the air with the wind. So you have to put it in a closed godown. This is also the requirement. So there are many things. So certain person has asked whether all acts are covered. Boss, as I told, each factory, each industry has a unique features, unique requirement. We have tried to cover common compliances. Otherwise, it's a very interesting and vast subject. Yeah, Neha, please go on.
Dipti, as you rightly said, when we have put up our unit in Calcutta, that too also in the what you call the port trust land, vast area. Now, one of the condition was storage of furnace oil has got to be stored underground, not above. That was the first and foremost conditions. And second thing, we were also using the gas connection. When we approached those days, version, they told that one of the requirement is you have to install a separate tanker in your premises, which is in so much kilometer away from your place. It should be drawn only the pipeline with the regulated safety valves, etc. and other thing and all. Otherwise, the gas cannot be connected to you. These are all certain specific things, as you rightly say, which are specific for the particular industry, what sort of the manufacturing they are undertaking. Yeah.
So next is a custom state partnership against terrorism audit. It basically focuses on improving the security with respect to terrorism. The audit program is designed to assess and enhance security measures under both from physical and virtual perspective. Next is food supply audits. Food supply audits can be termed in both in the two ways, like it's designed to assess the food hygiene and good manufacturing practices with respect to the production of the food products, as well as the food supply which is provided to the workers working in the factory. So
not only that, in food supply, the permitted level of inputs which are within the limit, which it doesn't cause the health hazards to the people. More importantly, yeah.
Yeah, and basically it should meet the standards as defined under the Act of Food Security. And so basically such food, this helps customer confidence and demonstrates that your commitment towards the food safety.
Not only that, from the government point of view, there is a food inspector they used to visit.
Yes.
And they used to conduct the audit, which is actually a compulsory one. Yeah.
Yes. Next are some of the ethical considerations during the factory audit is child labor and forced labor. While conducting ethical audit, some of the ethical points to be checked is like no child labor or forced labor is working in the factory. Similar, no child labor board. The main thing auditor should check, like once he enters the factory is no child. If there is no child labor, then no child labor board should be displayed on the front gate of the factory or on the notice board. Next is the fair wages and the working hours. It should be as per what is defined under the Factories Act. There should not be any discrimination between the workers, between the male and female workers. Harassment is completely prohibited. Like no worker should be harassed for any reasons like working hours. fair wages or other basic amenities which are required to be provided under the factory, and which are basically the rights of the workers who are working in the factory. The working conditions in the factory should be sustainable, like proper environmental conditions to be given to the worker who are working in the factory. Next is what does a factory audit assess? Factory audits are conducted with a clear purpose in mind, like most audit assesses are the regulations, quality control, employee welfare. Under regulations, being an auditor, it is mandatory to verify all the regulatory compliances, which includes the certificates, the licenses, all the annual reports, all the quarterly reports. The testings reports should be verified at the factory and should be confirmed whether the things are being compliant. The remarks are to be provided with respect to the reports. Next is the quality control. As an auditor, one has to assess quality management system, as said earlier. This system monitors and manages the quality procedures. This also includes data management, analysis, and customer satisfaction. Employee welfare needs, like basically auditor needs to verify that all the relevant laws which are formed for the betterment of the workers working in the factory are being complied. It helps to identify whether employees are being provided with the relevant benefits for which are meant for the employees, like maternity benefits, the insurance benefits. There are some, as we go ahead in the presentation, we'll come up with some of the acts which are meant for the better employee welfare. So it is to be assured like these are being complied. Next is benefits of factory audit. We have listed down some of the benefits which would surely be proved through conducting factory audits. First is quality assurance. Factory audit helps to it's in also in a two ways, like it shows you the quality of the final products which are being produced, like from the start point, from the getting the raw materials in the factory till the process and the final product is being out, and even the quality of the machineries which are used in the factory. So any substandard quality of machineries are to be identified, and corrective action should be taken for under this. Next is compliance with regulations. Again, the complying with all the regulations which are applicable to the factory is very important. So this can be conducted through conducting audits on an interval basis. So any non-compliance can be easily identified. Next is risk management. It helps to identify any risk associated with the machineries in the factory, and the same like any precautionary measures can be taken, like it's a factory, then basic risk associated is with the fire, and so basic fire management practices are being taken care of, mock drills are corrected or not. So these are some of the risk management should a factory be prepared of, and like risk management reports can be taken on an half-yearly basis to just be assured that the factory is the risk under the factory is being properly managed and can be taken care of. Next is supply chain transparency. This helps to make shows a clear supply chain products from, like basically from the raw materials and till the final product. It plays a crucial role for the companies who outsource the work. It allows the company to identify the weakness so that they can address the issues accordingly. Enhance brand reputation. The factory audit which are conducted basically from the voluntarily point of view are mostly for the brand reputation, as a clean and compliant audit report can be displayed to the consumers, so that they are aware that the factory is a compliant factory, and which in a way benefits the company and it's build a brand reputation even in the market.
When you talk about the third party outsourcing of the product, I would like to add here, I think long back, maybe about 40 years back, our company has obtained ISO 9000 certification for the products. in the balance sheet, they wanted to print ISO 9000 certified company. I told the management, we can't do that because you got the ISO certification only for your product and not for your service departments. And not only that, ISO 9000 certification is not available for your subcontract people who are supplying the materials. If you want to put ISO 9000 certified company, first you get ISO 9000 certified for the subcontractors who are actually producing around them. Number one. Number two, for all the service department also should be taken ISO. Then only the ISO certified company can be put. Otherwise, you can put ISO certified only for products. There was a long debate was there with the board and other thing and all. Ultimately, the company taken a decision. We have got ISO 9000 certified companies for the third parties. None of the third parties were engaged by the company if they are not certified ISO 9000. That was one stand which was taken. Secondly, probably I was one of the oldest company secretary who got the ISO 9000 certificates way back in 1990s for secretarial department, quality department, finance department, marketing department, IT department, everybody in mass total, all the service departments. So that is the spirit. The company has to take a call in the support of the management if you want to do the right things. Yeah.
Key elements of factory audit is documentation review. All the certifications, annual reports, annual returns, registers should be verified by the auditor. It's very important to check all the documents. Next is facility. Auditor needs to understand the facilities being provided in the factory to the workers, and even the equipments which are used in the factory are up to the standard or up to the mark. So it is being used in the factory. Next is assessment of documents along with the visit of factory is very important. Auditor is required to have a check on the workforce and the labor conditions in the factory.
To interpret here, like you mentioned the equipment, like you know that equipment which are used in the different industry require different certification. That should be valid certification. So accordingly, that equipment, then maintenance, the quality of that in different parts, all that has to be checked because it has a very big impact. It can lead to a hazardous event or accident. So this all is also need to be checked. Yeah, please go on.
So verification of conditions of working labors is also important. The same can be checked by the documents with respect to it, or through talking to or interacting with the workers. We can understand what exactly working conditions are through which the workers are working in the factory. Next is environmental impact assessment. It's applicable. It is applicable to be complied by the factory. All the quarterly testings of the environmental laws to be done under the environmental laws. All the quarterly testings is required to also identify if any negative impact is being created on the society or the nature in the vicinity of the factory. So same can be managed and taken care of. And so the same is not repeated. And then the factory can be a compliant factory.
Yeah, so here added, for example, in case of cement factory where they own the mine and they do blast to get the zinc and all that. So when the blast is done, so the S that when the blast, that S can spread due to air to nearby area. So it may turn out not to be cultivable land, or it may affect the quality of land for the agriculture. Then you require to compensate them, or to you help them to revive that land, or that kind of element is required to be taken care. This is one of the examples. Yeah, please go ahead.
Next is steps in conducting audit is planning, preparation, on-site audit, data analysis, and reporting. First step is the planning. Proper planning for conducting and factory audit is very important. A proper scope is to be identified, and the objective behind a factory audit is to be understood. So same could be understood by having a meeting with the management so that we can understand the reason for conducting a factory audit and what are the expectations of the management through such audits. While having a meeting, one can identify the applicable laws. Over here, the factory where it is situated plays a very important role. Like if a factory is situated in a specific state, like then the applicable state laws are also get triggered, and we need to even check those specific laws. We cannot just stick to the central act or central rules. One has to even specify or verify the rules in which the factory is situated. Then the auditor needs to identify a proper team. Conducting an audit of a factory is not that easy. The auditor has to be very vigilant. Like once he steps into a factory, his eyes should be like searching for all the notice boards, the other applicable amenities, like if there is a fire mock drill conducted, so the assembly point should be marked clearly. So these are very vigilant points. Auditor should the team should have it. So the auditor should form a team in a such a way, like once he enters the audit, the audit team should be that much eligible to identify the documents, to verify any discrepancies even in the documents and during the visit in the factory. So it's very important to elect your team in a such a way that they are very vigilant and keen to understand the working of the factory, understand the process of it.
Yeah,
Magesh is asking a question.
Yeah,
Even
I was
for the, yeah. Even
that,
for your, yeah.
that ISO certification is compulsory for tender. No, see, it depends on tender evaluation, tender thing. When it is compulsory, it is there. And as regards responsibility, I already answered. It depends on organization to organization how they structure their, factory and their cadre of the people employed over there. But ultimately, occupier. And yeah, on ISO, Mr. Bala, you would like to comment? Please comment.
No. See, what happens is when you're talking about the tender, there are government tenders. Conditions are actually forthcoming. What are the requirements, etc. One has to actually fulfill. If the quotation tenders are invited to the other parties, like we had a condition. ISO 9000 is a must if you want to be associated with us. So again, it will depend upon the factory to factory, industry to industry. But when it is government level, it will be required. In fact, some of the factories, there is a what you call occupation safety hazards certification is a must. Otherwise, you can't participate. There are a lot of global centers which are invited. They are actually putting one of the preconditions. So wherever such things are there, it is actually a must. You have to adhere by that.
Second step is preparation. Once the auditor is aware about the applicable laws, a proper checklist with respect to same has been prepared and shared with the management or the occupier of the factory. And proper time is provided to the occupier so that he can collate all the documentations as marked in the checklist. And audit date is to be scheduled because it's going to be a physical audit, so it will be a time-taking process, and audit it should be scheduled in a way like how long it's going to be conducted. So a date has to be pre-scheduled by the auditor and in consultation with the management of the factory. Next is on-site audit. So during factory audit, factory tour is very important. Like the factory auditor should visit the factory, should understand the process of the factory. The same can be guided by the occupier, who shall give a guide or give a tour to the factory auditor and make him understand the process from the start, like how the raw materials enter the factory, how are being processed, and till the final finished products. So through such a visit, it helps the auditor to identify any observations during the tour or during the process being explained. At the same time of the tour, the auditor can even interact with the workers in the factory and understand the actual working conditions of the factory. By interacting with the workers, one can cross-verify the information provided by the occupier and the information which has been extracted from the workers. For the once the factory tour is done, one can review all the information and documents which are collated by the occupier on the basis of the checklist shared with them. Post review of the documents, if any non-compliances have been identified during the tour and during the review of the documents, same can be identified and same can be discussed. Reporting after understanding the documentation and the process of the factory, and if any non-compliances have been observed, it's important to prepare an audit report. And a proper audit report is to be prepared where any findings, if any, during the visit is to be marked. The same findings can be marked in a matrix form wherein the ratings with respect to the risk associated with the non-compliances which are observed, like low, medium, high. So this can be marked in the report, which will help the manufacturer, the occupier, to understand what kind of non-compliances are there and what kind of risks are associated with such kind of non-compliances. And on the basis of such non-compliances marked or the matrix marked in the audit report, being auditor, we can provide some recommendations so that they can comply with those and rectify if any as these non-compliances, so that the factory can become a compliant by in the near future. Division of audit. Audit is divided basically into three parts. First is Factories Act and the rules. Rules as per the state laws, as per the state where the factory is situated. HR laws, HR compliances at the central level as also as per the state, and environmental acts and its rules. These are some of the HR compliances at the central level to be acts to be verified during the factory audit also. These are divided into the laws applicable under the wages, under the welfare, like wages for under laws like Employees Provident Fund, State Insurance, Employment Exchange Acts, Payment of Gratuity, Contract Labor Acts.
Neha, your slide is showing. Okay, now it is moving. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the welfare acts which are meant for the workers is like equal remuneration, maternity benefits, sexual harassment of women at workplace, Industrial Employment Act, industrial disputes and its rules, minimum wages and its rules, workmen's compensation, apprenticeship acts. These are some of the acts and HR compliances which are to be verified during the factory audit, and a specific checklist with respect to this laws are also to be shared, and the occupier should even collate the documents with respect to this and share with us.
Neha, somebody wanted you to go back to the earlier slide. Yeah, somebody is asking for it. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, move forward.
These are some environmental laws to be complied.
Even your slide, make it again so he can also read that earlier before environment. Yeah. Be there for some time.
Yeah.
These are the some more important laws. Yeah, now you can.
These are some laws for environmental. Under environmental laws, the Water, Air, Noise Pollution Acts and their respective rules, the Energy Conservation Act, Indian Electricity Rules and Gas Cylinder Rules, E-Waste Management Rules, Environment Protection Rules. These are some of the environmental laws which are to be complied. And a proper checklist under the environmental laws is also shared, is also required to be shared with the occupier, so that during our visit we can also check all the environmental laws and the regulations, any documentations which are mentioned under these laws to be verified. These are some of the checkpoints under the Factories Act. as the checklist is a very vast, as Dipti said, factory audit is not a simple, it itself is a huge topic. So these are some of the checkpoints which have been provided in a GIST form. First is approved license and registration. A proper license is to be checked. As Balas also said, the license are provided according to the vicinity as per the factory where it is to be constructed a factory. So accordingly, the license should be checked, the registration certificate. Appointment of the occupier should be the documentations with respect
When you talk about the licensing agreement, you know what happens, especially the companies which are causing air pollution, noise pollution, dust pollution, chemical factory, hazardous chemical factory, storage facility, vicinity where the water levels are situated, all these things are all acquired utmost importance. And again, the appointment of the occupier is being a director who is the occupier of the appointment. It is normally done only at the board meeting. In the duly appointed the board meeting, while transacting the business, one of the items is actually appointment of the occupier, identifying a person. If you are having 4 or 5 manufacturing units, a different director can be named as occupier for the different factories. That is also there. So these are all certain issues which are actually there. One has to take care of it. Really speaking, the company secretary can play a lot many roles on this. It is one of the good area for the company secretaries who are in practice to go into this sort of a audit. I think Mehta and Mehta is already doing this. Hats off to Mehta and Mehta. This is one of the area which is actually, open for our professionals. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Rao, if you would to say on the topic anything.
Yes, madam.
He can add about the safety measures, especially on the measures, because he is in the steel plant. When they are taking the metal powering, etc. and all, what is the safety hazard? Even the safety things are required for the people who are visiting the plant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That he can share with us.
Yes, sir. Actually, ours is, as you earlier quoted, sir, this ISO certifications. 9,000, 14,000, 5,000 and 18,000, 45,000. These are 6 certifications we are having, sir. 5 certifications we are having. And regarding this safety aspect, sir, in our RINL, because, sir, since I'm working in this industry for the past 31 years, I can quote a live example and genuine example from my experience, sir. In general also, this is applicable for in general also, sir. So safety measures, working at heights, there are some precautions we have to take, sir. Our safety engineering department is there. There the officers will, first of all, the department will apply for a shutdown protocol. Then these officers will be going there and they will observe and what are the safety requirements are there. They instruct the agency to implement the same and they will monitor, sir, and they will record it, sir. And however, one of the participants was asking what is the frequency of the audits you are doing, safety audits, like that. Here every 3
A voice problem.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Very much.
Hello?
Yeah. Very much.
Madam?
Yeah. You're audible.
First, we're talking from where every 3, from that we lost you.
Pardon. This safety audits every 3 months is an internal safety audit which will be conducted by our internal engineers. Basically, they are from a production unit and they know very well about the safety requirements and at various places. As Sir was quoting one hot metal example. So the quality of the safety appliances plays a very vital role. In fact, we take 100% care to avoid any mishap. But if something happens, this appliance should protect the employee because it is going to hamper the employee's entire future, family future, and also a disturbance to the organization. So this is the most important aspect in any industry, production industry, especially like steel industry. And
yeah.
And working at hot metal, we are being provided this fire resistant coats to each and every employee, whether they are contract employee or permanent employee, or whether they are HOD or head of the company. Everyone shall go to the cast house where the liquid iron will be taken out from the furnace. That area, everyone will be wearing these fire resistant safety shoes and fire resistant coat and apron with the safety helmet, sir. This is the practice being happened here. So in the safety audits, you can, I wanted to add one point, the quality aspect and the manufacturing date and that shelf life of the safety appliances must be verified thoroughly, sir. Because one incident has occurred in our coke oven and coal chemical plant in 2008, where nearly 7 people were died. It is a chemical blast, chemical powder which was using, which should not be in contact of water. Unfortunately, there was a electric short circuit in the storeroom happened, and this fire people, fire extinguishing department, this fire wing was spraying water jet on the in the storeroom on the fire room. Then instantly the reaction occurred, and there it took a blast. Then whoever the people were close to that location to clear some equipment, they were got burn injuries on the stomach, chest portion. All those 6 people could not survive. The others who were wearing, actually in that location around 30 people were there who were wearing these fire protection coats, got survived, sir. Whereas this CSF fire wing people, 4 people got affected with this one. So this kind of severity will be there. That's why we can protect with our perfect auditing of the quality of the equipment and what is the insisting by the department for the contract agencies or employees to wear the protection, and if any violation is there, any penalty is being levied by these questions, we can as a because audit plays a vital role, sir, because since I was there in internal audit for 6 years, so with that experience, our some points will definitely make a big impact. So these points are very, very essential. Neha beautifully covered all those points, sir.
When you talk about the ISO certification, one of the requirements is actually to train internal auditor for ISO certification, the employees of the own organization. In our organization, where the ISO 9000 were, I have undergone the ISO 9000 certification. I have obtained the qualified auditor for ISO. I used to conduct ISO audit internally for our organization. That is one thing. So the frequency, again, as you rightly say, it's all depends upon which department, what is that, what is the manufacturing, what is the shelf life, etc. We were also manufacturing products which are having a shelf life. We are very much concerned about it at every stage of the shelf life. If the shelf life products is outlived, then that is again a big problem. How to dispose of it? There are different ways of disposing it, identifying the location, disposing methodology,
yes,
all those things. It will call for several approvals from the government, and some of the disposal has got to be done only in front of the government people whose presence is actually there. That is one thing. And second thing is the safety aspect is not only for the people who are working, even in the visitors. Because I think way back in 1980, I wanted to visit a steel plant. The today's steel plant, which is known as the Tisco, those days those were Tata Iron Steel plant. When I actually went there, Jamshedpur, when I wanted to visit the steel plant, I have been asked first question, do you want to visit the entire steel plant or you want to visit the part of the steel plant? I never understood. Then I have been told the steel plant is situated 8 square kilometer radius. That is a vast area. It is running about 4 or 5 mills, rolling mills, flat rolling mills, sheet rolling mills, like that. So ultimately, I decided to visit only one day. Then I have been told very categorically, you have to come in the early morning, We will supply the safety shoe, we will supply the gloves, we will supply the eye flyer, and you know to take all the precaution. One person will be given to you. You will not walk into the plant unless you are permitted to walk. You will be transported from one place to the other place, one department to the other place by the motorcycle. And when you reach that plant, you will take instruction from them, where to stand, where to walk, where to watch, what is that. So these were the things which were there as back as 1980, which Tata companies were actually following it. Yeah.
Sir, the similar thing is being practiced here also, sir. It is in the same operation, and that Neha and they have experienced, sir. Because I only guided them for the plant visit. The whatever you are telling, those things were followed, and we are not allowing the
I know.
four-wheeler, sir, in our plant. It shall be a four-wheeler.
In fact, I recall having visited your plant also long time back. In fact, we wanted to meet one of the production persons in the place where we are not visiting the plant, but we are entering via plant. We have been told, you know, to wear all the safety equipments. I recall it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir Rao, there is a question for you by Mr. Mahesh that how frequently external safety audit certificate required? And you mentioned some 6 certification. I think you mentioned 6 ISO certification just for. Can
Yes,
you answer?
madam. These are 5, madam. Not. I'm pardon.
And he has
Certifications,
also
9,000.
he has also asked how
Madam,
many.
external ISO certification, and every year it is being conducted by external auditors. Within the internal department auditors, they will be conducting every 6 months, madam.
Yeah.
And the internal department review every 3 months it is being conducted. And the other department auditor from the other department will come and audit this department in every 6 months, madam.
Yeah, and he is asking how many mock drill frequency.
Mock drills, madam. Actually, we have different types of production units. One is coke oven where gases and hot coke is dealt. Similarly, LPG plant is there, liquid petroleum gas plant, and our air separation units are there. And so many risky areas are there. So frequencies department wise, based on the sensitivity of the department, the frequency is increased. For example, this LPG plant audit every 6 months we will be conducting a mock drill. And whereas main production units, every 3 months we are conducting mock drills in different sections of that department. So it is very frequent, and being in charge of the plant control, I have to ensure these mock drills are properly conducted, and the minutes were recorded, and they will be submitted to the occupier of the plant. So on an average, every month we will be conducting a minimum of 2 to 3 audits, mock drills inside the plant in various departments.
In fact, when we had the manufacturing unit of 5 manufacturing unit, when we appointed the occupier was to give a factory compliant. The occupier,
yes,
the director, was to give a factory compliance certificate to the board every board meeting. There, the specified items are there. The specified items A, they are actually adhering the safety norm. Welfare is actually taken care of. Compliance aspect is there. No delay in submitting the form, payment, etc. and other things and all. And again, the mock drill has been actually conducted. Any particular issue is actually erupted, how it is resolved, what is it, etc. If any unpending issue is there, what is the time plan, when it is resolved, why it is not resolved. All these compliance is to be put up by our occupier in every board meeting to the board.
Yeah. There is also a question which we left, that whether you require full-time doctor or part-time doctor is okay.
In fact, it depends upon the number of people who are actually working, because in many places, the full-time doctor will be actually available. In some places, doctor at a call is available. In some places, the ambulance has to be kept ready actually. This all depends upon the number of employees who are actually working on the volume of the business and nature of the business.
Yeah. Okay, Neha, you can carry on. How many slides, Neha? Still more?
More 5. some.
Yeah, we are another half a dozen slide only. We'll be completing.
We
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So next is we need to check the ventilation in the factory. The proper ventilation should be available. Like it should not create any suffocation to the workers working in the factory. Temperature under the factory should be measured. Regular testing is done of the temperature, like the factories such as which are dealt into gaseous chemicals and all. So temperature under the factory is to be checked. Hoists and lifts in the factory to be checked. The staircase to be verified, because the workers are working on it on a regular basis. Proper hygienic drinking water should be available. Cool drinking water should be available during the summers. Basic working conditions like the restrooms should be provided. Shelters to be provided. Clean and hygienic urinals and latrines should be available in the factory on an proper distinctive places. Atmospheric pressures to be checked. Medical examination of every worker is to be done by the certified doctors. Canteens to be provided. Restrooms, first aid appliances should be available in the factory. As Palasa said, ambulances should be available when more than 500 and more workers are available working. Then ambulance should be always available in the vicinity of the factory. Working hours should be termed as per what mentioned under the Factories Act. About machineries which are rolling machineries, and the proper training to the specific workers who will be working on those machineries should be provided, and a proper instruction should be displayed near the rolling pins machineries. So, and the safety gears and the safety measures, net should be available if the workers are working at a height. Next is constitution of safety committee where more than 1,000
But Neha, there is a question. The constitution of canteen committee is necessary.
Yeah, ma'am. Canteen, if 250 workers are and more, then a canteen facility is to be provided.
And committee should be there for that.
Yeah.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Committees are constituted. Welfare committee, canteen committees, and contract welfare committees. So many committees are constituted, madam. This has to be one vital part for our auditing.
Yeah, and I will add that if you are cooking the food inside, please add that FSI, food safety staff.
Yeah, right.
All that requirement come into picture. Yeah, Neha, go ahead.
Various registers like register of attendance, overtime, register of accidents, everything. This are some of the registers to be maintained under the Factories Act, are to be verified. Annual return to be filed by the factory under the Factories Act. Other checkpoints under the environmental laws are environmental audit report should be taken. It should be on an annual basis. These are some of the samplings of air, noise, water, elimination, stack emission, ventilations. These are some of the quarterly testings of samples to be done, and these reports are to be verified during the audit. We should check the treatment of trade effluent, the disposal of the waste should not be directly exposed to the environment. First, it has to be processed so that the very least amount of dangerous elements are available in the effluents, and then those are disposed of. Visit of any factory inspector or electrical inspector. His any show cause notice or information should be provided, and which should be verified. Disposal of waste can be done in the factory itself, in the premises of the factory, and if not, and if it is done at a distinctive place other than the factory, then the tracking of those waste is required. If the waste is transported from factory to another place and it is transported to trucks, the tracking devices should be placed in the truck so that it is the occupier is assured that the waste is being properly dumped in a disposal area only, and it's not disposed somewhere other which might affect the environment. Annual returns under the environmental laws are also to be verified. Checkpoints on for HR compliances, basic are the registration certificates.
Neha, there
Yeah.
is one more, and including Neha panelists. The question is whether a person can be occupier for more than one factory.
Yes, you can be. Yes, it is possible.
Okay, go ahead.
There are 4 people who have raised the hand. Would you like to hear from them? There is a Sobasundaram Shanmugam has raised the hand. Shankar
At
has said, Venkatesh has raised the hand. Hitesh.
Let them,
Yeah.
1 minute, because if they want at
I
present or
think
at the end, we will give.
one person
Four, five
one person has already put down the hands. I think by mistake it appears to be. Now there are only 3 hands.
Yeah,
Hitesh, Venkatesh, and Shanmugam Sundaram.
we'll take it end because 4, 5 slides only left now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Display of abstracts of HR laws to be checked whether those are displayed on the notice board of the factory. Annual returns and the HR laws to be verified. Inspection book to be checked if any inspector or any other visitors have given their comments under the inspection book. These are some of the common audit findings which are observed during the audit. First is health and safety violations. It is identified that proper safety measures are not provided to the laborers. These can be the safety gears like spectacles, gloves, shoes, and if such provided are of not are of sometimes are of substandard quality. Health checkups of workers at the time of starting the employment is also important and should be done on an interval basis. Ambulances should be available, which are sometimes not available in the factory, in spite when they are applicable to the factory. Basic medical facilities are not provided. Basic medicines are basically sometimes not available in the medical examination rooms. Second is poor working conditions. Sometimes working conditions of workers are so poor, like basic amenities like fresh and hygienic drinking water, hygienic restrooms. Restrooms are not provided. The sitting area is not provided to the laborers who are working for a prolonged hours. Sometimes the areas of the factory are so overcrowded, then the applicable number of workers to be working on that floor. So this sometimes might create any mishap in the factory. Then there might be substandard materials usage. This can be used in both the ways, like terms of producing the finished products and even the types of machinery. Sometimes the machinery is planted in the factory are of substandard quality, so which might create any, which might be dangerous to workers work. And this might create any event which no one should, would experience this kind of events, but this kind might happen if substandard equipments or machineries are planted. Other non-compliances with regulations are like some of the basic non-compliance could be no child labor board is displayed, or the abstracts with respect to the applicable laws which are to be displayed in an English and any language which the workers can understand. These are some of the basic non-compliances which is observed are not displayed on the notice board. Then inadequate documentation, the basic common finding is the occupier of the factory does not have the adequate documentations during the visit of the factory. The reason can be any, like the occupier he himself do not have it, or it might be due to non-compliance of the documentation. Documents are not available during the visit to provide to the auditor for its verification. Next is corrective actions and follow-up. Factory audit helps to identify any discrepancies and non-compliances in the factory so that corrective measures, if any required, can be taken, and any corrective action plans, if as such required, can be implemented in a way so that current non-compliances are not repeated in the future. Monitoring process, it is required to be monitored on a regular basis. which will help to identify and rectify any non-compliances, any discrepancies within time. Re-auditing if necessary. If the occupier identifies there are a lot of non-compliances been observed in one audit, then it is recommended to re-audit the audit conducted. So just to be double sure or get an assurance that the factory is being in a compliant position going ahead. Some of the challenges which are faced during the factory audit is language and cultural barriers. Sometimes language becomes a barrier, like when we conduct a factory in a very remote area or to another state where the communication becomes very difficult. Factories are usually located in the rural areas, the language like the auditor is not able to communicate with them in basic English or Hindi language, and the workers could understand only their local language. So the communication becomes a big problem, and if we cannot communicate with them, then asking or taking the information itself becomes a problem, and then audit is suffered in a way. Resistance from factory management. Sometimes we face the resistance from the occupiers in providing the information in the factory. The management is sometimes not that cooperative in providing the information, nor the physical access to the factory. The factory is very huge, so a very limited or scope is provided, like you can only visit a specific unit, and the whole tour sometimes of the factory is not given to the factory auditor, which is very important. Limited access to information is a very common challenge which is faced. Is like the occupier are not willing to share the information. This can be sometimes because the occupier himself do not have the information. If there is a change in the occupiers, the proper handover is not provided. Or the factory is a vast, so it's bifurcated into departmental wise. So during the audit, the documents are not collated from the departments, and on the date of audit, basically then it leads to limited access to the information, and basically the auditor is left with very few documents to verify. Subcontracting and supply chain complexities. A lot of contracting involves a lot of people having a lot of data and information which are in a scattered form. Supply chains involves a lot of laws to be complied and a lot of documentation regarding to it, which sometimes becomes difficult for the occupier himself to collate the data and even to comply with all the laws. And the end result is very less information is provided to the auditors while they visit to the factory. These are some of the general penalties under the Factories Act. And if the offense is a continuing one after the previous conviction, then there are additional penalties imposed. Penalties for obstructing inspector, wrongful disclosing results. Results of analysis, false certificate of fitness, permitting double employment of child are also mentioned under the Factories Act. Conclusion, basically the central government has formulated these factory laws and other safeguard laws for the interest of the workers working in the factory, so that they work in a very clean, healthy environment, and it is for the better working conditions of the factory. So hence it's the duty or it's important for the occupier to comply all the factory law requirements and ensure that all compliances are complied. And it's important to have a third-party audit on an interval basis just to make sure that all the compliances with respect to the factory are complied. And basically, it gives an assurance to the other related parties of the factory that the company is working in a compliant manner. Thank you.
Excellent, Neha. Excellent. Wonderful presentation.
Wonderful.
Nicely done. You covered adequately in a given time. Very good. My great appreciation to you.
Now,
you.
what we do, pending questions, I
We
will
would,
just,
we would like to hear from our panelists.
Yeah.
yeah, pending questions, I'll start asking. There are majority covered. One of the question was how the, you understand that how the scrap is, taken care. So it depends actually. Mr. Rao, you can mention that. You will like to answer. How will you verify the disposal of scraps? I think there is a problem with audio of Mr. Rao.
He is not able to hear.
Mr. Bala, you wanted to answer this? Yeah.
Yeah. Disposal of the scrap, somebody is asking.
Again, as I say that disposal of scrap, generally the company and factory has their policies, and they all has like depend on the factory and in the industry you are. So if it is a hospital, they have their rules. All scrap and any waste outside, I can say scrap and waste both. There is a rules, regulations, act applicable. So we need to check the kind of arrangement they have made with the organization which is recognized by the government. If it is not there, if scrap is there also, there is a scrap disposal policy in the company. We have to check that, because each scrap you cannot like sell it to Bangarwala kind of thing. They have that kind of policy. Then they registered that vendors. So we have to ask that, accordingly it can be verified. Yeah. There is
Government has actually came up the different methodology of disposal of certain items, chemical item, hospital item, as you rightly mentioned, etc. And as you rightly say, there are specialized agencies who are actually authorized to dispose the way in which the government actually specified. So we'll have to identify, we'll have to hand over to them, and they will actually dispose of the thing. They will give the certificate to that effect. Okay.
Yeah. The question is for the
But when the new code is going to be in place, it
Yeah,
is going
that-
to be a digital actually. But as on today, yes, it is physical because the factory inspector is visiting, things are there, etc. But you can maintain whatever the form you say digital, but the thing is, it should be made available as and when it is required. That is the requirement today.
Yeah. Can industrial employment standing orders be complied centrally or plant wise?
It depends upon, because if you have a separate division which are working different nature, there are two things. One is actually a model standing order is actually prescribed by the authorities. Either you have to formulate a model standing order, or you have to get it approved. If you want to do the separate division wise, you can do that, because it is not necessary all the division will be under the same condition, different condition. Because somebody working in the general shift, somebody in 3 shifts, somebody in 2 shifts, all those things are there. The things will vary actually. Because if you are working, normally I worked in a unit where it was 3 shifts at time. The first shift workman is required to work only 8 hours. When it's come to the second worker, they are supposed to work only 7.5 hours. When it's come to the third shift, they are supposed to work only in 6 hours. They should be given an additional rest. These are all the conditions which are actually there. The conditions vary. So according to that, you can frame, but only the important thing is you have to get it approved from the government. Regulator has to approve your standing order.
Yeah. The Factory Act include provision for canteen. Does this provision also apply to manufacturing, apparel, or industry? No exception.
Yeah, all industry is a number.
Yeah. As for safety, existence, emergency. Okay. We have factory. I think we have answered majority questions. And we have covered everything.
Yeah, I don't think anything is there. But
Yeah.
only thing is, there were some hands which were risen. I don't know. Let us check up. Yeah, there are 3 people are there still. Let me check whether they are there. Somasundaram, are you there? You raise your hand. Your question. Hitesh.
Saddam, just unmute these 3 people who has raised the hand.
Hitesh is there. Somasundaram is there. Menak Kota is there. Menak Kotia.
You can say what you want to say, please.
Yes, Hitesh. Can we hear from you?
I think by mistake they have done this.
Okay. Somasundaram, are you there? No?
I think
Mirna?
not an issue. Mr. Rao, you would like to end up?
Hello,
with-
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's there?
Yeah.
सर माय नेम इज मृणांक मेरे सर कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं जैसे रिगार्डिंग है फैक्ट्री एक्ट्स में हमारे रजिस्टर्स मेंटेन होता है
Introduce yourself, please. Who are you basically?
यस सर
Can you
आई एम
introduce?
फ्रॉम दिल्ली सर JHS
and what-
Associates and LLP
Sorry.
JHS Associates and LLP this is a CA firm sir
Okay.
एक्चुअली सर फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन सर ये है कि ना सारे जो रजिस्टर फैक्ट्री एक्ट में जो मेंटेन होते हैं वो मैनुअली होते हैं तो
Right.
क्या वो रजिस्टर्स हमारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली भी मेंटेन होने चाहिए कंपलसरी है या
We answered that, my dear. We said that you can make it electronically, but still
Yes.
rather physical also they are asking. If you maintain electronic, they will ask physically. It is your
Okay.
convenience. But new amendment will come, there it will be clarification, which is under consideration. Okay?
श्योर और थर्ड क्वेश्चन था मैम कि ना जैसे अपैरल्स फैक्ट्री है ठीक है तो उसमें जैसे कि स्विंग मशीन्स लगी है तो उसमें स्विंग मशीन्स के अंदर उनका जो पाथ है मतलब जो क्लियरेंस पाथ है वो कितने में डिस्टेंस में होना चाहिए
Wait. This is very sector specific, very specific question. We cannot answer that. You can ask general question. You can't.
Madam,
Create a specific
regarding
question.
these registers, can I add a point here? Madam,
Yeah.
regarding these registers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir, factory registers can be digitally maintained because now digital signature is there. The authorized person can digitally sign and keep a record there. Of course, there is a guideline to demolish the records. Some based on the type of the record. Some 5 years we have to maintain physical records. For anything related to the sensitive matters and monetary involvement is there, those records shall be maintained for 8 years. Similarly, there are some set of guidelines are there. Based on that, the physical records can be maintained, but now digital records you can keep
Digital is
any
actually
number of time.
Yeah, digital is possible, but only thing is today what happened, some other the people who are visiting people, factory inspector and other people, they are actually demanding the physical. So what happens is even if you maintain in the digital, you have to make available to them when their visit is there or something like that. We cannot tell them it is the digital. I'll open the computer and show. That difficulty is there today actually. But this is expected to overcome when the new law comes into the picture. Everything is going to be converted to digital, including the inspector visit to be uploaded in 48 hours time.
Yes, sir. Your suggestion is very nice, sir, and relevant. Now, what is the on this green movement? This physical maintaining the physical records are gradually going to be minimized. In our plant, we already started recording digitally, and of course, for sake of some sensitive issues for which may be prone to the legal issues, those documents we are keeping for prescribed time, sir. That is there. We are practicing.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, how to maintain for fine register? digitally? Sir?
First of all, in this ISO procedures, what is the document you will be first deciding the document that shall be approved document, and the form of the document, that soft copy also in the same form, it should be approved, get approved, and digitally signed, and you can save it in electronically. You can save it.
Okay, I answered all the question.
I think there's somebody, Mahesh Krishna has raised the hand, I think.
I think he did earlier also. Yeah, you can mute and say.
Mahesh Krishna, are you there?
No, he raised earlier. That's
Okay.
why.
Okay.
Mr. Rao, you would like to say something on your experience, then we can close it. What you want to share experience?
Yeah, your concluding remark you would like to hear.
Yeah.
Madam, regarding any specific point is there, then also I can tell. Otherwise also, as sir was telling, we have practically faced the to dispose the chemicals.
Hello.
Those chemicals were used in our QATD laboratory. Those chemicals were brought in later. There we purchased some analyzers. The digital analyzers. Then we were not using those chemicals. Almost 70 types of chemicals. Almost 1200 liters chemicals were has to be disposed. This was identified by audit point only. So then we gone through the procedure. We gone to the statutory authorities and environment department, environment authorities, and we took the permissions and we disposed them. In a earmarked land, soil, we have digged the pits there and then we have disposed. So this is one point actually, the benefit of the audit. Otherwise, they are some chemicals are explosive prone also. So it is a safety point we have complied through this audit point.
Okay, thanks a lot. And we can conclude this session. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Rao, for your contribution. Thanks, Mr. Bala and Mr. Neha. Thanks, Neha, for wonderful presentation. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Good weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Rao.
Thank you, madam. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.